Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. Today, we bring you a story that proves life can change in the most unexpected ways. A story about cruelty, revenge, and ultimately, grace. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into an unbelievable journey, one that began with years of bullying and ended with a helicopter landing that nobody saw coming. The story starts 10 years ago, in the halls of Crestwood High School. Like many schools, Crestwood had its groups: popular kids, athletes, cheerleaders, quiet ones, rebels, and of course the ones who seemed to blend into the background. Among them was a girl named Lila Hart. To many students, she was known by a cruel nickname, the class loser. She wore second-hand clothes, carried old books repaired with tape, and kept mostly to herself. Her father worked odd jobs, her mother was sick for most of her childhood, and money was always tight. She wasn't ugly or odd. In fact, she had a gentle kindness that made her different. But sometimes, in high school, different is all it takes to become a target. And unfortunately, Lila became the perfect target for the popular crowd. Every day, she endured snickers when she walked down the hallway. They mocked her clothes, her quiet voice, her worn-out shoes, even her dreams. When she once said in a school assignment that she wanted to own a company someday, the classroom burst into laughter. Her teacher tried to calm the students, but the damage was done. She learned quickly to keep her dreams to herself. But Lila endured it. She survived the taunts, the pranks, and the humiliations. She never fought back. She studied hard. She spent lunch breaks in the library reading business books and teaching herself new skills. And every night, she told herself, "This is temporary. My time will come." Her high school years were painful, but they ended. After graduation, she disappeared from social media, rarely kept in touch with anyone, and quietly began building a life far away from Crestwood. And while she moved on, the people who bullied her stayed the same, hanging out with the same friends, sharing the same inside jokes, and bragging about the same high school memories. They never imagined that the girl they used to mock was out there changing her life. A decade passed. 10 years since any of them had seen Lila. 10 years since the cruel jokes. 10 years since the popular group mocked her for wearing a thrift store dress at prom. 10 years since they laughed at her dream of becoming successful. Now, it was time for their 10-year high school reunion. The event was being organized at the Silver Oak Country Club, a luxurious venue with chandeliers, velvet drapes, and a lawn large enough to host weddings and corporate celebrations. The organizers sent out invitations, and the popular group, still connected through their group chats, started plotting something. One of them joked, "Should we invite Lila? For old time's sake." Another laughed, "Imagine her showing up in those old shoes." Someone else added, "Let's do it. It'll be hilarious." So they sent the invitation. Not out of kindness, not out of nostalgia, but out of mockery. They assumed Lila was still the same quiet, awkward girl with hand-me-down clothes and big dreams she could never achieve. When Lila received the invitation, she stared at it for a long time. Part of her thought about ignoring it. After all, those memories weren't exactly pleasant. But then she smiled. A calm, confident smile that the old Lila never had. Something inside her whispered, "Go. Show them who you became." And so, she RSVP'd. The night of the reunion arrived. Guests filled the ballroom, dressed in elegant suits and glittering dresses. The popular crowd, still glued to each other, kept glancing at the entrance, snickering in anticipation. "I bet she won't even come," said one of them. "She probably doesn't have a car," another joked. Someone else laughed, "If she shows up, we'll definitely know. She'll walk in wearing a $20 dress." They continued laughing loudly, not caring that other people around them were rolling their eyes at their childish behavior. Meanwhile, outside the venue, Something unexpected was happening. On the lawn behind the country club, security personnel suddenly rushed out to set up a landing zone. Guests began walking toward the windows, confused. A loud chopping sound filled the air, the unmistakable thumping of helicopter blades. People stepped outside, covering their eyes from the wind as a sleek black helicopter approached. The pilot circled once and slowly descended. Guests pulled out their phones, recording the dramatic scene. Nobody knew who was arriving. As the helicopter landed, the door opened slowly. A tall, elegant woman stepped out. Her hair was perfectly styled, her gown shimmering under the lights, her heels glinting with crystal details. Her posture was confident, graceful, almost regal. For a moment, people whispered among themselves. Who is she? Is that a celebrity? Maybe the club double booked. Maybe there's a wedding. The woman took a few steps forward, and as she approached the crowd, a familiar pair of eyes recognized her. It was the girl they used to mock. It was Lila. But she wasn't the Lila they remembered. She wasn't the shy, trembling teenager who kept her head down. She radiated confidence. Her dress alone looked worth more than anything the popular crowd had ever worn. Her jewelry sparkled like it belonged on a red carpet. She looked successful, extremely successful. Whispers exploded through the crowd. That's Lila Hart. No way. She looks incredible. What does she do now? The popular group stood frozen. Their smirks died instantly. Their plan to mock her collapsed in an instant, replaced by shock, insecurity, and shame. Lila walked past them with calm composure. She greeted people warmly, hugged old classmates who had been kind to her, and chatted easily with those who had once ignored her. Everyone wanted to know about her life, and she shared just enough without bragging. It turned out that after high school, Lila received scholarships, worked multiple jobs, and launched a small online business. That business grew rapidly and expanded into a chain of successful companies specializing in technology solutions and consulting. Over the years, she became a multimillionaire, widely respected in her industry. The helicopter was just one symbol of her success. And yet, she didn't mention any of it unless someone asked with genuine curiosity. But eventually, the popular group approached her. They tried to act casual, fake smiles plastered on their faces. Lila, wow, you look different. Long time no see. Amazing entrance, by the way. So what have you been up to? Their voices shook with forced friendliness, masking their embarrassment. Lila looked at them calmly. She could see the fear in their eyes, the fear of seeing the person they once considered beneath them rise far above everything they had. She smiled gently. I've been well. Life has been very generous. How about all of you? They exchanged awkward looks. One of them mumbled something about working at a local office. Another bragged half-heartedly about a job that didn't sound nearly as impressive as they wanted it to. Someone else tried desperately to change the topic to high school memories, but the energy had shifted. The power dynamic was gone. For the first time, they were the quiet ones. They were the insecure ones. Then one of them tried to apologize. Lila, about high school, you know, we were kids. We were just joking around. Lila paused, not with anger, but with clarity. You weren't joking, she said softly. But I'm not here to make anyone feel guilty. They lowered their eyes, ashamed. She continued, I came here because I wanted to see how far I've come. Not to show off, not to get revenge. I'm not the person you knew back then. I've grown. I hope all of you have too. Her words weren't harsh. They were honest. And that honesty hit harder than anger ever could. The popular group stood speechless. Nobody could come up with a fake excuse or laugh it off. Because in that moment, Lila wasn't the class loser. She was everything they once claimed she could never be. The night continued, and Lila became the center of attention, not because of the helicopter, not because of her gown, but because of her humility. She encouraged old classmates, congratulated them on their achievements, big or small, and reminded many people that kindness always mattered. By the end of the evening, something had changed. Many people approached her privately, thanking her for inspiring them. Some apologized sincerely for not standing up for her in school, and she accepted every apology with grace. As the event wrapped up, Lila walked back toward the lawn where the helicopter waited. Cameras flashed again, but this time out of admiration, not ridicule. Somewhere behind her, the popular group watched silently. They knew now that inviting her as a joke had backfired completely. But maybe, deep down, it was the lesson they needed. A lesson about respect, humility, and never judging someone based on where they start. Lila climbed into the helicopter. Before the door closed, she looked back at the crowd and offered a small, warm smile, not of triumph, but of peace. The blades spun, lifting her into the night sky. As the helicopter rose higher, her former classmates stood below, watching in awe. For many of them, it was a moment they would never forget. Because that night, they learned something powerful. The person you mock today might become the person you admire tomorrow. The helicopter disappeared into the distance, leaving behind a stunned but wiser crowd. And Lila Hart, she flew away stronger, wiser, and finally free from the shadows of her past. Thank you for watching this incredible story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more inspirational content. Stay strong, stay kind, and remember, your story isn't defined by your past. It's defined by who you choose to become.